What if everything that we thought we knew about reality was a complete lie? What if your bedroom, your family, the ground beneath your feet, and every star in the night sky is actually trapped inside of a cosmic prison that's so massive that we don't even realize that we're inside? Welcome to Arnie's Brain Train, where we like to dive into discoveries that challenge everything you think you know about your very existence. I'm your conductor on this journey, and yes, I'm a real guy. This is my real voice. I'm not a program, just a dude presenting a black hole discovery that might change everything. This isn't going to be just another space video, but this is about one of the newest, most controversial theories in modern physics that could rewrite our understanding of where we actually are. And as always, all of my sources are listed in the description below, so buckle up and let's get going. So, you're sitting in your room right now watching this video. You feel completely normal, right? The walls around you feel solid, the air feels breathable, gravity keeps you planted in your chair. But what if all of this, everything that you perceive as normal reality, is actually happening inside the most extreme environment in the universe, a black hole? Now, before you click away thinking that I've lost my mind or I'm talking about the simulation or something like that, this isn't just a wild conspiracy theory that I made up in my basement, even though I am doing all these videos in my basement. This is a legitimate scientific hypothesis that's been seriously discussed by some of the brightest minds in physics. We're talking about Nobel Prize winners, researchers from Harvard, Princeton, and MIT who are genuinely considering the possibility that our entire observable universe might be the interior of a supermassive black hole. Let's just think about that for a second. We've always assumed that we live in this expanding universe that started with the Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the Big Bang wasn't the beginning of everything, but actually the moment when matter collapsed into a black hole in some higher dimensional space, and we're experiencing reality from the inside? This idea is so radical that it literally turns our understanding of existence upside down. If it's true, then every assumption that we've made about our place in the cosmos, every religious text that talks about creation, every scientific model that describes the universe's birth, every philosophical framework that tries to explain why we exist, might need to be completely reconsidered. Alright, before we go too much deeper, let's take a second and make sure everyone's on the same page about what a black hole actually is. Because if we're going to claim that we might be living in one, you need to understand what they are first. A black hole forms when a massive star, meaning 20 times heavier than our sun at least, runs out of nuclear fuel and collapses under its own gravity. But this isn't just any ordinary collapse. We're talking about matter being crushed so intensely that it forms what physicists call a singularity. A point where density becomes infinite and the normal laws of physics break down completely. Around this singularity is something called the event horizon, and this is where things get really weird. The event horizon is like a one-way door to nowhere. Once anything crosses this boundary, it can never ever escape. Not matter, not energy, not even light itself. Hence the name, black hole. Now here's something really fascinating. From the outside, if you watch someone fall into a black hole, you'd see them slow down and freeze at the event horizon. Their image would get redder and dimmer until it fades away. But from the perspective of the person falling in, they pass right through the event horizon and continue falling towards the center, experiencing what seems like normal space and time to them. This difference in perspective, what physicists call frame dependence, is absolutely crucial to understanding how we might be living inside a black hole without realizing it. And here's a common misconception. Black holes aren't just destructive monsters that eat everything in their path. They're also creative forces in the universe. Supermassive black holes sit at the center of galaxies, actually helping to organize and structure the cosmic web we see around us. They're like cosmic architects shaping the very fabric of space-time itself. And the thing that we all know but nobody wants to say out loud, size does matter. The black hole at the center of our galaxy, called Sagittarius A, has a mass of about 4 million suns. But there are black holes out there that are billions of times more massive. The bigger the black hole, the more gentle the conditions at the event horizon. If you fell into a stellar mass hole, a smaller one, you'd be ripped apart by tidal forces. But if you fell into a supermassive black hole, you might not even notice crossing the event horizon. So think about what I just said for a second, because this is key to understanding our theory. If our universe is inside a black hole, it would have to be an absolutely massive one for us to experience the relatively gentle conditions that we observe in our cosmos. Let's go ahead and talk about the theory itself now. In 2010, a physicist named Nikodem Poplawski produced a paper that turned cosmology upside down. Poplawski discovered that our entire universe might actually be the interior of a black hole that exists in a higher dimensional space, and the math supports it. Here's how this works. It's kind of tricky, but stay with me. Imagine that you're a 2D being living on a piece of paper. You can move forward, backward, left, right, but you have no concept of up or down. Now imagine that that paper is actually wrapped around a basketball. You'd never know that you're living on a curved surface because you can't perceive that third dimension. Poplawski suggests that something similar might be happening to us, but with more dimensions. We experience 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time, but there might be additional dimensions that we can't perceive. From our perspective, inside this hypothetical black hole, we see an expanding universe that started with the Big Bang. But from a higher dimensional perspective, we might just be the interior contents of a black hole that formed when a massive star collapsed in that higher dimensional space. The math actually works out beautifully as well. The equations that describe the expanding universe that we observe are remarkably similar to the equations that describe the interior of a black hole. It's like finding out that what you thought was a house is actually a room inside of a much bigger house that you never knew existed. And honestly, here's the thing. This theory would actually solve some major problems in cosmology that have been bothering scientists for decades. So let's think about that for a moment. If this theory is correct, then the parent universe, the higher dimensional space where our black hole exists, might have completely different physical laws, different constants, maybe even different ways that matter and energy behave. We could be living in a cosmic simulation of sorts where our entire reality is just the shadow cast by higher dimensional physics. And here's one more little tidbit to mess with your head. Time itself might be an illusion created by our perspective from inside the black hole. In the parent universe, our entire 13.8 billion year history might have happened in an instant, or it might be happening backwards, or it might be happening in some completely non-linear way that we can't even comprehend. Now, at this point, you might be wondering why any of this would matter to your daily life. Well, understanding the true nature of reality, even if it's a complete lie that we've been living, is how humans have always progressed. Every major breakthrough in science came from questioning what seemed obviously true. And if we're living in a cosmic prison, that changes everything about how we understand consciousness, free will, and our cosmic purpose. So, what actual evidence do we have that we might be living in this cosmic illusion? First, let's talk about the Big Bang itself. The traditional model says that everything started from an infinitely small, infinitely dense point that suddenly exploded outward. But that's always bothered physicists because it requires something to come from literally nothing, which violates pretty much every law of physics that we know. The black hole universe model, however, provides a much more elegant explanation. Instead of matter appearing from nothing, we have matter from a collapsing star in a higher dimension, creating what we perceive as the Big Bang from the inside. The star's collapse creates the initial conditions, and then we experience the interior evolution of that black hole as our expanding universe. Second, there's the cosmic microwave background radiation, that faint afterglow of the Big Bang that we can detect throughout the universe. According to research published in Nature Physics by physicist Laura Mersini-Houghton, the patterns that we see in this radiation could actually be consistent with us viewing the universe from inside a black hole. Third, the theory predicts that our universe should be relatively flat and have the expansion rate that we actually observe. When scientists run the numbers for a universe-sized black hole, the interior conditions match what we measure in our cosmos with stunning accuracy. It's like finding out that your house has exactly the right temperature, humidity, and air pressure that you'd expect if you were actually inside a giant terrarium that you never noticed. Fourth, there's the mystery of dark matter and dark energy. These invisible components make up 95% of our universe, but we have no idea what they are. Some researchers suggest that these mysterious forces might actually be the result of our universe being embedded in a higher dimensional black hole, where the dark components are actually the gravitational effects of matter and energy that exists outside our three-dimensional space. Here's where it gets really interesting from a scientific perspective. If we're inside a black hole, then the information paradox that's been plaguing physicists for decades might have a solution. The information paradox asks, when matter falls into a black hole, what happens to the information it contains? If we're inside a black hole, then information isn't destroyed, it's preserved in the form of our entire universe. So let's really jump down this rabbit hole now. If our universe is inside a black hole, then logically, every black hole in our universe might contain its own universe with its own galaxies, stars, planets, and possibly even life. We're talking about an infinite nested hierarchy of realities, universes within universes within universes, like cosmic Russian nesting dolls. Think about this. There are an estimated 100 billion black holes just in our galaxy alone. If each one contains a universe like ours, then every time you look up at the night sky, you're looking at potentially trillions of entire realities, each with their own 13.8 billion year histories, their own evolution of life, their own civilizations asking the same questions that we're asking right now. Or you could look at it another way. Just as we might be inside a black hole in some higher dimensional space, the black holes in our universe might be creating baby universes with beings who are completely unaware that their entire reality exists inside of what we see as a simple black hole. Everything that I've said so far isn't just a philosophical speculation. It has real implications for how we understand consciousness, existence, and our place in the cosmic hierarchy. According to Dr. Poplawski's calculations, published in Physics Letters B, the relationship between a black hole's mass and the properties of the universe inside it follow predictable mathematical relationships. Look, whether this theory is right or wrong, it's doing exactly what science is supposed to do. It's expanding what we consider possible and forcing us to question our most basic assumptions about reality. Now let's talk about what this means for our understanding of life itself. If universes can be created inside black holes, then life might be far more common than we ever imagined. Every black hole could be a nursery for entire civilizations. The universe might be teeming with life, but it's all separated by these cosmic barriers that we can't cross. Honestly, it just makes me think, if black holes create universes and universes create black holes, then we might be living in a truly eternal cosmos where new realities are just constantly being born. Death and birth on a cosmic scale, happening simultaneously across infinite dimensions. This also raises profound questions about consciousness itself. If we're inside a black hole and our thoughts and experiences are just patterns of matter and energy trapped in this cosmic prison, then consciousness might be a fundamental property of the universe itself. We might not be separate beings having experiences, but we might be the universe experiencing itself subjectively. This theory doesn't just change physics. It revolutionizes how we think about scientific inquiry itself. If we're inside a black hole, then the scientific method as we know it might only be revealing the local laws of physics within our cosmic prison. The real laws of physics, the ones that govern the parent universe, might be completely different and forever unknowable to us. Think about what that would actually mean for our greatest scientific achievements. Einstein's theory of relativity, quantum mechanics, the standard model of particle physics. These might all just be local approximations of higher dimensional physics that we can never fully understand. It's like trying to understand the ocean by studying a single drop of water. But this is the beautiful paradox of everything. Even if we're trapped inside a black hole, the fact that we can conceive of this possibility shows the incredible power of human consciousness and scientific thinking. We might be prisoners in a cosmic jail, but we're prisoners who can imagine the world beyond our bars. This also has profound implications for how we search for extraterrestrial life. If every black hole contains a universe, then the search for alien civilizations becomes infinitely more complex. We might be looking for life in all the wrong places. Instead of scanning nearby stars, we should be studying the black holes in our own galaxy, knowing that each one might contain entire civilizations completely cut off from us. And here's a really fun one. If this theory is correct, then time travel might actually be possible, but not in the way that we usually think about it. If our entire timeline is just the interior evolution of a black hole, then different parts of the black hole might correspond to different moments in our history. The past, present, and future might all exist simultaneously in different regions of the black hole's interior. From a practical standpoint, this theory also suggests that our universe might be much more stable than we previously thought. If we're inside a black hole, then cosmic catastrophes like the heat death of the universe or the Big Rip might not actually be inevitable. The black hole itself provides a kind of cosmic container that could preserve information and structure indefinitely. Now, I know that some of you are probably thinking about the religious and the philosophical implications of all of this, and honestly, they're just as mind-blowing as the scientific ones. If we're living inside a black hole, what does this mean for our understanding of creation, purpose, and the divine? Traditional creation stories across cultures talk about the universe being formed from chaos, from a void, or from the will of a divine being. But if our universe is actually the interior of a black hole created by a collapsing star in a higher dimension, then creation becomes an ongoing process happening at multiple levels of reality simultaneously. Some religious thinkers have actually embraced this idea because it provides a kind of cosmic nested reality that's reminiscent of many ancient traditions. The idea that our reality is contained within our larger reality, which is contained within an even larger reality, mirrors concepts found in Hinduism, Buddhism, ancient Judaism, and even some Christian traditions that talk about layers of existence or multiple levels of consciousness. But it also raises some uncomfortable questions. If we're inside a black hole, and if consciousness is just a pattern of matter and energy, then what happens to concepts like the soul, free will, or divine purpose? Are we really making choices, or are we just following the predetermined path of matter falling through the interior of a black hole? On the flip side, some philosophers argue that this makes consciousness even more precious and mysterious. If the universe can become aware of itself through beings like us, even while trapped inside a black hole, then consciousness might be the most fundamental force in the cosmos. More fundamental than gravity, more fundamental than the strong nuclear force, more fundamental than space and time themselves. Here's one last thought on the topic that might comfort some and terrify others. If we're inside a black hole, then death might not be the end. The information that makes up our consciousness might be preserved in the structure of the black hole itself, making us literally immortal in a cosmic sense, even if our individual awareness fades. Understanding whether we're in a black hole is so much more than just academic. It fundamentally changes how we should approach our existence, our goals, and our responsibilities as conscious beings in this cosmic mystery. If we are inside a black hole, then humanity's future might be far more constrained than we think. We can never escape to explore the parent universe. We can never communicate with civilizations outside our cosmic prison. And we can never truly understand the larger reality that contains us. But that doesn't make our existence meaningless. It might make it more meaningful. If we're inmates in this cosmic prison, then the relationships that we form, the art we create, the love we share, the knowledge we discover, all of that becomes infinitely precious because it's all we have. We become not just observers of the universe, but active participants in its ongoing evolution. Consider this, if you will. If black holes create universes, then maybe we have a responsibility to create our own black holes, seeding new universes with their own possibilities for consciousness and life. We might be part of a cosmic reproduction cycle where conscious beings in one universe create the conditions for consciousness in the next. This would also definitely change how we think about technology and scientific progress. If we're in a black hole, then our ultimate goal might not be to escape or to explore the stars, but to understand the deeper structure of reality itself. We might need to develop entirely new forms of physics and mathematics that can describe higher dimensional spaces and the true nature of consciousness. Finally, from an ethical standpoint, if we're all inmates in this cosmic prison together, then cooperation becomes not just beneficial, but essential. We're all fellow prisoners in the same cosmic jail, and fighting amongst ourselves becomes not just destructive, but absurd. As usual, here we are at the end. Let's go ahead and connect everything and see the bigger picture. We started with the question of whether we're living inside a black hole, and we've discovered that this isn't just possible, it's mathematically plausible, and it solves several major mysteries about our universe. The black hole universe theory explains why the Big Bang happened without requiring something to come from nothing. It explains why our universe is flat and expanding at the rate we observe. It potentially explains the cosmic microwave background patterns, dark matter, and dark energy. And it opens up the incredible possibility that reality is far more layered and complex than we ever imagined. But more than that, it forces us to confront fundamental questions about consciousness, free will, the nature of time, and our place in the cosmic hierarchy. If we're inside a black hole, then we're not separate from the universe. We are the universe, experiencing itself subjectively through billions of years of evolution. Whether we're in a black hole or not, this theory demonstrates the incredible power of human consciousness to conceive of possibilities beyond our immediate experience. We might be cosmic inmates, but we might be starting to become aware of our circumstances. Perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that reality is far stranger and more wonderful than our everyday experience suggests. We live in a universe where black holes might be cosmic wombs, giving birth to new realities, where consciousness might be the most fundamental force in existence, and where the true nature of reality might be forever beyond our understanding. This theory forces us to confront a humbling truth. Our perspective on reality might be fundamentally limited. We might be like ants on a log floating down a river, completely unaware of the vast landscape around us. But unlike ants, we can imagine that landscape, and in doing so, we transcend our limitations even while remaining trapped within them. Well, everybody, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey on Arnie's Brain Train. We've uncovered a discovery that could change everything, from the basics of black holes to the possibility that our entire reality exists within a cosmic prison. And we've explored how this affects physics, philosophy, and our understanding of consciousness itself. Remember, all of my sources for this discovery are listed in the description below. I encourage you to explore them and come to your own conclusions. This is exactly the kind of theory that science should be wrestling with, even if it challenges our assumptions. If this discovery made your brain work overtime, smash that like button and subscribe for more adventures through the universe's most fascinating mysteries. Drop a comment below. Did this change how you think about reality? Do you think we're living in a black hole? How does this affect your perspective on existence? And what other cosmic mysteries keep you up at night? Everybody, please keep questioning everything, keep learning, and remember, the world isn't always this simple, but it's always this interesting. All aboard for the next stop on Arnie's Brain Train. We'll see you guys there. Bye.